called them. But the green wood brought out of the forest by grandfather still lay outside the front door, curing on the ground. "Rotting, you mean?" Mamma said. She talked like that when she'd had a lot of schnapps, but once she'd been kind and loving. The boy wanted to remember her that way, but she made it very hard to do. In his long-enough bed, Papa coughed all day and night, his shoemaker's lasts gathering dust and cobwebs on the other side of the one-room house. For weeks he'd been too ill to fix the boy's bed, or work on shoes, or do much of anything at all. Luckily for the family, Mamma had managed to take in more washing this month. Odense, Denmark's second-largest city, was growing rapidly. Nearly 5,000 people at the last census. "If I could do all their laundry, we would be wealthy," Mamma said. "And then we could have an elegant house in a fashionable street, not this pig-hole." Then she added, "And perhaps get invited to the Prince's castle dinner." Papa had roused between coughs. "Get your head out of the clouds, woman. It gives the boy ideas above his station. Don't count chickens before they hatch." He took a breath. "You live in fairy tales. We have to live in the real world." She turned away from the onslaught of his words, but Papa was not deterred. "Woman, we will live and die on Munkamola Street. I am, by the devil's wish, a craftsman, though I wanted to be a teacher. And you are a washerwoman, which is all you are capable of doing. And all the laundry in the world will not buy us an elegant house. If you had such a house, someone else would do the laundry, and then how would we eat?" But the speech had exhausted him, and he fell back against the pillow. The boy thought this made a certain amount of sense, but perhaps his stepsister, Karen Marie, could just get more money from her gentleman friends, enough to keep the family for a while. Of course, he knew better than to say this out loud. Karen Marie was not well thought of by Papa or grandmother, or even Mamma. "At least for now I can still put food on the table," grumbled Mamma, sitting at that very table, another glass of schnapps in front of her. "You lie abed with nothing more than a winter catarrh, while the leather weight's in the corner over there, and no shoes are resoled. Men, you are all such babies. If you don't get up soon, husband, I shall be forced to call the Greyfriars to come and take you into the hospital. At least it will be one less mouth to feed." Papa's lips thinned, and he gave his wife a look that should have frozen her to the spot. But Mamma looked away. When he got no response from her, Papa threw the covers back and sat up, still coughing, his nightshirt well above his bony knees. "At least help me to the pot. Help yourself, old man." Though she was years older than her husband, the words stung. The boy turned his face to the wall, understanding that any old affection between them had soured with the hardships of life on Munkamola Street, the way children too often chastened out of love turn stubborn. He felt a sudden restlessness in his soul, but he did not weep. It was too cold in the little one-room house for weeping. "And what about my bed?" he whined, but only to himself. They all hated it when he whined, or complained aloud about his stomach cramps, or about the constant bullying at school. It was bad enough that Mamma and Papa seemed to hate each other. The boy knew he could not bear it if they hated him as well. No, it was best to simply fade away while they argued. Closing his eyes, he practiced fading, just like a swamp plant, which is what he sometimes called himself. Feet in the water, the same color as his surroundings. "You cannot see me. I am not here." Before he knew it, he'd managed to fade so completely that his parents' argument became a mere mumble that couldn't be heard above the wuthering winter wind or the waves constantly warring against the shore. In fact, he faded himself right into sleep, and didn't hear when they went to bed still arguing, that argument ending, as always, in frantic, deep kisses. Later, with everyone safely snoring, the boy sat up, then stood on the settle so he could stare out of the little window above it. The sky was without stars, for a low cloud cover, like a well-made bed, kept everything neat and tidy. There were few lights in the town, except far, far away at